Hi everyone. Today we are going to discuss the topic is Apex sharing. What we are going to discuss, what is Apex sharing and what is share object and how can we create a record in the share object with a sample example. And what is Apex sharing? To provide or providing access programmatically through Apex code, that is called as Apex sharing. And why do we need to provide a sharing on a record? Okay, in Salesforce. First thing is whenever you define an object organization-wide default settings as private, then you have to share that record to a group or role through sharing rules. When you have sharing rule already with out-of-the-box functionalities, then why do you need to share a record through programmatically or through Apex code? That is the thing what we are going to discuss. First scenario or use case is, for example, you have an account record. You can share that record through sharing rule when account type is other or account owner is a group or role, queue or role. But whenever you have the scenario that whenever an account has at least one primary contact and at least one closed opportunity, then only you want to share that specific account to specific user or specific group. For that, our out of the box sharing rule cannot be supported because it has the criteria based and ownership based rules only. That means you can define a sharing rule based on the criteria or based on the ownership. On criteria, it gives, or on criteria based things, it gives only the object specific fields where you are trying to write a sharing rule. For example, I am on sharing settings. Now student is a private, and if you go with the student sharing rules, okay, you can have more input in this previous video for sharing settings anyway. And let's see this sharing rules, student sharing rule. You can define a rule by ownership or by criteria. If you take criteria, you will have only the fields which are available on the object where you are defining the sharing rule. If you if you want to compare with the child records, if you want to compare with the parent records, you can't do here. In that complex situation, then you have to share that kind of records through Apex sharing only. Okay, this is what the use case. Otherwise, you always have to go with the out of the box functionality. Now, what is share object? Before we are going to do with Apex, or before we are going to do sharing a record through Apex, you should know what is share object. Okay, for every standard object or custom object, there will be a share object to give the sharing access through programmatically. Okay, so always, even you give a sharing rule also, it will be there will be a sharing object records. For now, let's go with this. So whenever you want to give any sharing or whenever you want to give access to the sharing object, you have to do something. First of all, how you can recognize what is share object here. Share object is a object which is associated with the standard object or custom object with share as the postfix. Okay, if it is a standard object standard objects share object, then it will be object name and share. For example, if you want to know share object for account, you can have account share. Okay, even you can retrieve these objects through custom metadata tools or anti tools, you can see, but it is easy to identify now. That is, account is the standard object, account share is the share object. Now if you take custom object, then object name __ share, that means it is the share object of custom object. If you take this custom object, then department __ C, your share object will be department __ share. Okay, again I am telling you, share object is useful for sharing your record. Okay, you can create a record in the sharing object with a particular record ID which is associated with the sharing object, then it will be shared. Okay, again I'm telling you, for standard object or custom object there will be a share object, and this is how it will be. Now this is the sample. For example, for department share, I want to share one of the department record, okay, to with one of the user or group in the system. Then what I have to do, I have to know what is share object for the department object. This is department share object, okay, and then what record I have to share from the department table. Okay, this record should be there for parent ID, and to whom I have to send or I have to share the record. This is the group ID or user ID you have to specify for user or group ID field in the share object, and you have to define access level as read or edit for the share object. Then you have to insert that share object record. Then automatically this particular record will be shared with this particular user or group with the access either read or edit. Okay, this is how we can do. Let's take a look on student. Okay, student, here student is a simple object and you don't need to have a apex sharing, but just for example I am giving this example on student object to create a sharing record on student object and show the things practically. Okay, otherwise you don't need apex sharing for student object here, but the use case is whenever you have the complex logic to share a record into to record to share a record with a different user or a group, then you have to go with the apex sharing always. For that you have to create a share object record for that object record. For let's see, now I am an administrator user. If you see, this is Salesforce textbook user and this is student. Okay, I'm creating one record, sharing object, sharing record test, and here okay, now I'm going to log in as this user. Never user, I already logged in the incognito window. Let's see. Now if I see all also, I can't see any record with the sharing access record. Okay, even this and they add here, I can see that I don't have permission on the record. See, there is no access. Now I'm going to share this particular record with the Navarshi user, okay, through Apex Code. Let's go to developer console, and here this is the record ID we have to give. Now in our case this is the record ID and this is Navarshi users record ID. Here you can use user ID specifically if you want to share this record with the specific user, or if you want to share this record to group of users, you can create a group. Under group you can add whatever the users you want and you can give the group ID here. Okay, and here I'm using edit access level. That means he can edit this record. Okay, now I'm creating a record. Now I'm going to just reload this. He can see now. She can see this is the one, Navarshi user. Okay, now he can edit also because I gave the edit option. Save. Okay, now we'll remove that record or I'll delete the what is the parent ID? This is the one. Then he will lose the sharing access. See here, I'm deleting Okay, from never share access. I deleted never share access. Done. Again, he don't have or she don't have any access, but the person who has the ownership, he will have this record. Now I'm going to administrative. I'm reloading. See, this is how it will be. So that means now what we learned how to share a record to your specific user through share object through Apex code. If you create a record in the share object with the parent ID as a record ID, which record you want to share, and user ID or group ID should be filled with the user ID or group to whom you want to share, and you can define the access level as read or edit, and you can insert the record. Then automatically Salesforce provides the sharing access to the particular record. Okay, this is how we can do Apex sharing. I just want to repeat once again. Whenever you have the complex logic to share a record to a user or a group, which is not possible through out of the box functionality, out of the box feature, that is sharing rule, then only you have to go with the Apex sharing. So through Apex sharing, what you are going to do, you are going to create just a record in the share object of that particular object. Okay, this is how you have to do